you as a fund manager or a lead investor can keep a portion of that split legally and then pass the rest to your investors, and your investors are still getting a good deal. So that's the value of what we bring.
Yeah.
We not only bring you deals, we bring you all the capabilities built to run and execute your own fund, where you can be a lead investor, whether you're doing your own deals or you're raising money for others.
Welcome to the Next Level Income Show, where it's our goal to take your income, your investments, and your life to the next level. I'm your host, Chris Larson. If you haven't yet, get a copy of our book for free at our website, nextlevelincome.com. That's www.nextlevelincome.com. Just click on the book link, and I'll even send you a copy if you put your address in. On today's show, we have Badri Malynur. Badri is a co-founder and VP at Avestor Inc., a technology platform focused on end-to-end solution for sponsors to build customizable private funds. Badri has extensive investment experience spanning a large variety of assets, including real estate, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrencies, commodities, options, and angel investing. He has co-founded 2 startups and has extensive management experience leading large teams at a Fortune 500 company. He has an MBA in marketing and finance and a master's in computer science. Today, Badri and I are going to talk about how we built a customizable fund for our investors here at Next Level Income. And we're going to share some more info with you today. Badri, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Chris. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you again as well. And I'm really excited to share a little bit more about what you've been up to at Avestor. I've been talking to you for about a year now, but we got some exciting news that we're going to share on today's podcast. We've kind of been sharing it with our investors already. But Badri, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your background. We were chatting before the show, kind of about your history before you got here, and love for you to share that with the audience too.
Absolutely, I would love to do that. I originally came from India, and I came to Oregon. I loved it. I'm a Duck. I'm still waiting for us to win our first, national championship, but we'll get there one of these days.
You're getting better. Your team's getting better.
Team is getting better. So stayed back, was in corporate America, was an exec in a Fortune 500 company before. Really quit the corporate life almost more than 15 years back. And startups have always fascinated me. I did my first startup, not very successful, when I was in my early 20s. And I've been experimenting with different startups. I've been in different startups and different exits. I ran a trading company. And now my latest venture is Avestor. I also ran a hedge fund for trading index stock options. And my latest venture is Avestor, which I'm sure we'll talk a little more about. So that's my background. Just on a slightly personal front, if there is one takeaway from this, if people want to remember who this guy was, my goal is to visit every country in the world. I've been to about 70 countries, love traveling, love hiking, and love tennis. There you go. Maybe a longer intro than you want.
Oh, no, that was just fine. And yeah, we'd love to host you here in Asheville, North Carolina. Come out, stay with us, and do some hiking.
List of things to do. North Carolina, absolutely.
And I got to get to Oregon. My wife and I love wines from Pinots from out there.
You should. Yeah. I wish you had made it to the summit. We had a great time. There was a Avestor Fund Manager Summit. People had a good time and very educational and had a good time. So next summit, you should definitely make it.
Next year, yeah, we'll make it a date for sure. What I love, Badri, is you and your team at Avestor have utilized technology, which we're seeing now, right? It's ubiquitous, to really impact the private equity space. And one of the reasons that we started Next Level Income is that we wanted to share these investments with investors, because a lot of this stuff was really kind of held closely by family offices, ultra high net worth families. And as I shared my book, so many people said, wow, I had no idea this existed. Like, I knew you could buy a house, but I didn't know you could invest in an apartment building or mobile home parks, as we were talking about earlier. And now with technology, we're making it even easier as we move to that. Can you tell a little bit about the story, about the background, what inspired you to found Avestor? Found Avestor?
Sure. Yeah. So let's start off from the point where what you mentioned. I think Wall Street has really done a number on people. The only thing you can do is invest in stocks and bonds, and you have a 60-40 portfolio, and you're all set. 60% stocks, 40% bonds. We all know what bonds have been doing in the last 3 years. Private investments is a very opaque space, and it's a multi-trillion-dollar market. I don't know if your audience knows this. I think I don't have the exact number, but more than $4 trillion were raised in private Reg D offerings. We'll talk about the terminology in
Yeah.
a little bit. And what is really, really important for wealth building and preservation, both building and preservation, is a diversified portfolio, which should really consist of multiple things. I mean, it should absolutely consist of stocks and bonds. I'm not saying to take all your money away from that. It should also consist of real estate and maybe commodities and maybe a little bit of startup investing if you're into that. But a real estate and investments should be an integral part of your portfolio. And what we found, I'm coming to your question before you think I've forgotten your question. We found that it's very, very complex for investors to invest in the private space. I think you'll relate to this. It should not be that complex. I mean, people have to go register in various sites and they have to evaluate various investments and they have to do a lot of research, which they're not equipped to. And the minimum investment may be 25, 50, and sometimes even $100,000. And some of these investments go very fast. So we wanted to simplify that space for private investors. We wanted to bring the ease of a stock brokerage account, just like you would, you go to Schwab or TD Ameritrade or your favorite stock brokerage stockbroker, and open an account, put in $100,000 or $50,000, and pick and choose which stock you want. We wanted to bring that stock brokerage account experience to the private investing market, where you can invest in real estate and a variety of other type of asset classes. And where people can put smaller slices as opposed to putting large amounts. And the people have the ability to build diversified portfolios across multiple asset classes, multiple time frames, and multiple geographies. So that's what we are trying to do. And that's why Avestor was formed, actually. So
yeah, no, I love the concept, and I think you've really hit an intersection. I mean, I remember the first. This is going back over a decade now. The first private placement we invested in. Just the reams of paper we printed out, all the signatures, all the forms we had to fill out by hand, and send it in via FedEx, and then it's like, oh, you can DocuSign things, and it's the technology is making it easier and easier, and I think it's. Again, I think you've really hit at this intersection, because as we see the baby boomers, get older and they're starting this transfer of wealth. It's what, around 16, 20 trillion dollars in, I'm sorry, it's $80 trillion.
$80 trillion.
Yeah,
I don't have the exact
it went 60 to 80.
Tens of trillions.
Yeah. It's going, it's going up as, the stock market and asset prices have increased, but that wealth is being transferred to millennials. And we see millennials are very comfortable with things like Robinhood, so you give them, you give and I'm not too far from millennials, but you give somebody a stack of paper like this that's used to going on their phone and purchasing stocks in small quantities and trading. That's a whole barrier to do that. So it seems like you guys have really hit the intersection in terms of where we are socially with, also with what you're looking to do from a
I think the timing is fortuitous. I mean, people want to go beyond just stocks and bonds. Yeah. And as especially when a lot of the inheritance comes from the baby boomers to Gen X and Gen Y, they're willing to take a little more risk and they want to build a diversified portfolio. So the timing is good. I agree with you, Chris. So
yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because you said, hey, you think we should have private equity investments, and then that Gen X and Gen Y is interested in taking more risk. If you look at the smartest money out there, you look at the endowment funds, you look at family offices, they're putting 20, sometimes 30% of their family's money into
it's actually income producing real estate. I shouldn't say taking more risk. It's building more of a balanced portfolio. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And it's so being able to give people that option in a very comfortable way, I think is fantastic. So there are some other options out there. How is Avestor different?
Okay. Great question. So the fundamental innovation which Avestor has brought to the marketplace is something called a customizable fund. A customizable fund is a fund where you can go and pick and choose which deals you want, and a fund manager can build a custom portfolio for each investor. Let's face it, you may have different needs. I don't know how old your kids are, but my kids are graduated from college, so I don't have to worry about college education anymore.
Mine are
And
11 and
different people are
13.
in
Yeah.
Okay, well, you have to start worrying about college education. Different people are at different stages of their life. And it's very important for investors to have the ability to build a custom portfolio. And that's what a customizable fund offers. It's like, think of it like at a very simplistic level. You go to a Fidelity fund and say, I like out of the 100 stocks here, I like the 60 stocks. I don't want to really buy those 40 stocks. You can't do that, can you?
Right.
I don't think so. But you can do that precisely in this private fund market using a customizable fund, where investors can come in and they'll tell the fund manager, I have a kid going to college in 4 years. And I want some of my investments, 50% of my investments to be liquid in 4 years. And I am not so excited about California. I mean, I'm just making it up, but hey, why not? It's a good state to pick on.
Fair.
I want to invest more in the Sun Belt. I want to get, I'm already in a high income. I want to get depreciation benefits so I can offset my other regular income. So each investor has different needs, and a customizable fund allows the fund manager to build a custom portfolio. Again, I will repeat what I said, across multiple asset classes, multiple timeframes, and multiple geographies, to precisely meet the needs of each individual investor. So that's the key differentiation of the Avestor platform.
Today's show is sponsored by Money Insights and their investment optimizer strategy. In my book, I share how I use this same strategy starting over a decade ago to invest my money in two places at one time. This strategy has been used by the wealthiest for generations for estate planning, minimizing taxes, preserving wealth, and increasing stability for their investments. Now you can do the same thing. In addition, you can build a plan to build an emergency fund, pay for college, fund a business, plan for retirement, and ultimately optimize your total financial picture. To find out more information, check us out at the banking link at nextlevelincome.com. Yeah, no, I love that. And that's what drew us towards your company, Badri, is that, we can take this technology that's helping investors suit their needs in a better way and allow them access to this space, but allow them to do it in a way that suits their needs better than,
Thank you. I'm very excited to have you, Chris, and congratulations on launching your fund, or almost launching your fund. And tell me a little bit about some of the deals you're going to put in your fund, so we can illustrate that as an example of a customizable fund. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, our, and I know we've talked about this with the team, and, so for the audience, I've come at it as an investor, kind of like you did, Badri, with the platform, said like, hey, what would I want? How can we make this work? So, I've looked at different asset classes based upon the real estate cycle. And, we started in the multifamily space, added self-storage, added mobile home parks, added hotels, car washes, and we're working on a senior housing partnership as well. So the challenge is, and we have a debt fund. It's got liquidity provision in there. So investors say,
so what do you
Chris,
do in your spare time, Chris?
Yeah.
No, just kidding. It looks like you're keeping busy.
I coach my son's cycling team, and I try to box with Father Time here. But fortunately, I have great operating partners, Badri. But one of the questions I get, a new investor will look and say, well, Chris, like, okay, I see you've built your portfolio over the course of 10 years and you've kind of stacked these, but what do I invest in? And we don't give investing advice. We're not investment advisors, but it's hard when you say, well, hey, you could pick and choose, from these. So, our goal in working with you was working with a platform that makes it easier for investors, one, to get registered, two, to go through the process of placing their investment dollars, but then also three, being able to get the diversification that they've had.
Exactly.
So we're trying to accomplish all those things in conjunction with your platform, and we're looking forward to rolling that out here. This is kind of right on time as we do our first release here this month.
Very cool. Very cool. And some other benefits from using a platform like this and for your fund as well Today, when you invest in a deal, if there are any distributions, they go back to your bank account. And if there is a liquidation, you have to go back to your bank account. I mean, if there is an exit. And if you want to invest in a new deal, you have to sign another 40-page document. So just to some of the benefits of investing in a fund like the ones you're creating, a customizable fund, is that we tie all of those pieces together into a single platform. You sign one legal document to start with, and then because each time there is something called a private placement memorandum, many of your investors may be familiar with it. For each deal, instead of signing a 40-page deal PPM, for
That's
each deal,
that's a short one, by the way. 40 is pretty short.
That's a short one, yeah.
It'd be like 140
exactly.
pages. Yeah.
Life is too short to read a 50, 60-page document every time you're investing a little amount. So what we have done is we have distilled all of that into, you do sign that 40-page PPM when you join the fund, but then for each deal you invest, we have distilled that into something called a deal disclosure document, which very clearly indicates what are the terms of the deal, what are any additional specific risks associated with the deal. So that makes the investing process very easy. With a click of a button, we have something called a virtual cash balance, just like a stock brokerage account. Think of this like a stock brokerage account for your alternative investments. We have something called a virtual cash balance, where if you can store your money in, you can put periodic investments. If you want, put $1,000, $2,000 every month. And when distributions come in, they go into the virtual cash balance. And with a click of a button, you can choose a new investment. And everything is integrated, electronic signing capability. And for some of these investments, you have to be an accredited investor. All that capability, everything is integrated into the platform. So we try to make it very, very easy for you to invest in alternative investments like the ones you provide. It could be senior housing, mobile home parks. And we make it very easy for you to do that. So.
No, it's great. One of the other things I enjoy about your team, Badri, is that you're open to feedback. So if you say, hey, this is a feature
Absolutely.
that would make sense. I was on a call last week with a member of your team, and they said, hang on, I'm going to take some notes. And they took notes and said, hey, this is something I'm going to talk to the engineers about incorporating. So it's you don't get that with Fidelity.
No, you don't. No, you don't. We are a very agile team, and we are very open to customer, fund manager, and end investor feedback. And a lot of our features have grown from feedback from end investors and fund managers like you, Chris.
Yeah, no, that's great. What can you share anything that may be on the horizon with respect to features or things that may be coming?
So we are constantly innovating on both the sponsor side and the investor side. The sponsor side is for the fund manager like you. And so we just recently launched our next generation UI, which integrates all the things which an investor might need. And now we are working on the next generation sponsor UI, which makes the fund manager easy. And it's important to make the fund manager life easier too, because then they can bring more deals like you're doing. Instead of spending more time on the administration side, you can bring more deals to the platform and to expose your investors to a wide range of asset classes. So,
yeah, I can tell you that my least favorite thing to do is deal with all the paperwork and process behind the scenes when it comes to these platforms, because it really pulls you away from doing what matters, which is the due diligence, the management, the asset management side of things. So now you mentioned something interesting, Badri. You talk about the sponsors. I know we've talked about this as well. One thing that you see is investors sometimes like to get together. They like to pool capital. Maybe even an investor says, "Hey, I'd like to go out and pool some capital together and bring it to an investment." How can an investor work with the Avestor platform to set up their own fund if they wanted to do that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. I mean, so we often get people who are what we call lead investors. They're influential in their friends and family. And sometimes their friends and family come in and say, hey, I like what you are doing. Can I get in on it? And this is a highly regulated industry. I'm sure you know this.
Absolutely.
You cannot just raise money from others, even if it's friends and family, without an exemption. And
you can raise money, but you can't be paid for it, right? So yeah, you can go out and say, just out of the good of your own heart.
So what we have done is built a platform which makes it very easy for you. When I say you as a lead investor, or you as a syndicator doing your own real estate deals, to raise capital for others by providing all the services you need to launch a fund, including the legal piece, the compliance piece, the accounting piece, the tax piece, the platform, and all the various services for checking investor accreditation and so on in one place. And so running a fund is like running a business, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
So
oh yeah,
you need three things to run a business. What do you need? You need customers. You need something you're selling.
your product
And
customers.
Exactly. So what we do is we provide all those pieces. We can help you develop your fund, help you develop marketing collateral. And here is the most important piece. We actually go to top tier sponsors across the country and negotiate preferred deals for fund managers. So you as an investor and a fund manager will benefit from the negotiations we do. Since we have more than 100 funds, we can go to somebody, for example, we have a relationship with a short-term rental fund. And we have negotiated terms where you get a 9% pref and a 90-10 split. So you as a fund manager or a lead investor can keep a portion of that split legally and then pass the rest to your investors, and your investors are still getting a good deal. So that's the value of what we bring.
Yeah.
We not only bring you deals, we bring you all the capabilities built to run and execute your own fund, where you can be a lead investor, whether you're doing your own deals or you're raising money for others. So
yeah, I think that's a great point. So, for any of our investors that are listening, a lot of times we have tiers. So if you invest, say, $500,000 or $1 million, like
Exactly.
you said, Badri, you may get preferred terms. It's like, it's like almost anything in the world, right? You say, hey, I'm gonna buy more of a product. I'm gonna be a more loyal customer. We're gonna have a partnership. Yeah, typically you get a discount, you get a better deal. So what you've done is you've actually set up a structure, so it makes it turnkey for somebody that wants to go and do this and do that. Now there's still work involved, right? But we have investors that do this. They've set up an LLC to pool their, say, investor club's capital together to invest in a deal. They manage all that. This could be a great solution for them, it sounds like.
It will completely streamline that process. Instead of creating a separate LLC for each deal, you create one evergreen fund, and you can invest in any number of deals, and then you can lower the minimum. So maybe you invest $500,000 and get preferred terms, and then maybe your investors can invest as little as $10,000 or $20,000, but they're getting the benefit of the preferred terms minus whatever percentage you keep. So
yeah. No, I think it's fantastic, Badri. No, I really appreciate this. I appreciate you sharing it with the audience. We're gonna use this. We're gonna share it for any of our investors that are familiarizing themselves with the platform, as well as share it on the podcast platforms out there as well. Badri, where's the best place for investors to learn more about your platform if they want to go and see, hey, this is something that I might be interested for doing myself?
The best place is our website. We have a marketplace of various funds, and I'm sure your fund will be added there very soon. If you could go to avesterinc.com, that is AVESTORINC.com. You'll find a ton of information about customizable funds. And I'm sure you're going to include some information about customizable funds in your website pretty soon, Chris. So your website would be a good place when you launch your fund. And because a customizable fund, believe me, is a game changer for you as an investor. Because instead of restricting yourself to what a fund manager picks, now you can pick and choose deals. You can choose a time frame which is amenable to you. You can choose something where you want a little more risk, or you want less risk and more cash flow. You want more tax benefits. So you can really build, again, I don't want to rehash this to death, but you can build your own custom portfolio, which is precisely tailored towards your needs. So it's a game changer. The next time you make a private investment, don't do it outside a customizable fund. So
I love it. And yeah, look, Next Level Income was founded to help you achieve financial independence through education and investment opportunities. And we're making it easier with the help of Avestor for you to do just that. Badri, thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing what Avestor is up to. And thanks for helping our team put this together today.
Thank you, Chris. Congratulations again on almost launching your fund, right? And you're getting very close to the finish line here. And I wish you the very best of luck with your first deal. Your first deal looks amazing. And I would certainly encourage your listeners to look out for your first deal and see if that's a fit for their portfolio. So,
thank you, sir. Good to see you today, Badri. Hey, Chris here again. I hope you found this episode valuable. Now, I have one more thing to gift you. We have a page for my coaching clients where you can get a free copy of my book, as well as much more from previous guests on the show. Just check out nextlevelincome.com/coaching to get a free copy of my book, audiobook, and much more. I'll send you a copy of my book and cover all the shipping costs as a thank you for listening to the podcast. Also, please like, share, and take just 90 seconds to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts.